The first breath of winter usually marks the end of mushroom season. Frost takes hold, the forest grows quiet, and most foragers pack away their baskets. But that is not entirely true. Among the frost and fallen leaves, life still stirs, mushrooms that refuse to follow the rules of the season. A few days ago, I took this photo of a weeping widow mushroom covered in frost. It reminded me that even now, when everything seems to fade, the forest still has beauty to share. So today, I'm heading back to one of my favorite spots to see what's left. Not to mourn the end of the season, but to celebrate what still endures, and to find some exciting subjects to photograph. My name is Odin, and welcome to Fungi of the North. Here we have one mushroom that perfectly encapsulates the time of year we are in. And this is the Herald of Winter. Few mushrooms live up to their name quite like this one. The Herald of Winter, Hygrophorus hypothejus, appears in pine woods just as most other fungi begin to fade. The cap is olive brown with a darker center, and when damp it shines with a glossy, bordering to slimy surface, almost like an eye glinting through the forest floor. Underneath, the gills are pale yellow, sometimes deepening to brown with age, and the stem is a slender column brushed with yellow. The reason I see this mushroom as a true harbinger of winter is quite literal. It often begins fruiting after the first frosts of the season. It is an edible species, though rarely sought after, so I won't bring it home with me. But for me, finding this now marks a quiet reassurance that the forest still has more to give. This species doesn't say farewell to the season, it simply changes its cadence. If we have a look on this mossy patch of grass here, we can actually see quite a few hardy mushrooms. First one's this. This is a fragrant funnel. It smells deliciously of aniseed. Quite a few of them here. Over there as well. Also we have this one. This one is called a Sprucecone Cap. A very flat mushroom with whitish yellowish stem. And this one grows year round. The fragrant funnel, Clitocybe fragrans, is not an edible mushroom, so don't be tempted by its sweet scent. Small and graceful, it ranges from pale off-white to fawn in color with crowded decurrent gills. It can appear from late spring all the way into late autumn. And there are many potential lookalikes, but once you experience that distinctive fragrance, it's instantly recognizable. The Sprucecone Cap, Strobilurus esculentus, is another species that can be found throughout much of the year, even in winter during milder spells. It grows directly on spruce cones hidden beneath the moss. This is actually an edible mushroom, though you need a great many to make a meal of it. They are small and slender. The cap is light brown, the gills are white, and the stem fades from pale near the top to a deeper yellowish brown towards the base. If you are really lucky, you can even find a few edibles, like this. This is the Terracotta Hedgehog. You can see the spines under the cap there. The Terracotta Hedgehog, Hydnum rufescens, is a truly cheerful sight this late in the year. Its reddish-orange cap seems to glow against the dull forest floor, a reminder that color still lingers even as winter approaches. It's closely related to the common hedgehog mushroom, but smaller and more vividly colored. Like its cousin, it has soft spines instead of gills or pores, hanging beneath the cap like delicate teeth. This is an excellent edible species. I find it quite similar in flavor to the Chanterelle, mild, nutty and rich, though with a slightly firmer texture when cooked. They also dry beautifully, keeping much of that earthy aroma. It's a resilient mushroom, often fruiting several times a year and well into the first frosts, proof that the forest's generosity lasts longer than most people think. And right next to the Terracotta Hedgehogs, another great edible, the winter Chanterelle, Craterellus tubaeformis, a mushroom that truly defies and defines the season. While most fungi disappear with the frost, this one seems to thrive in it. I mean, it's called the winter chanterelle for a reason. It's a smaller, thinner and far more cold-tolerant relative of the other chanterelles and Craterellus species, like the horn of plenty and the yellowfoot. The cap ranges from yellow-brown to greyish, with a distinctive hollow stem. What I love most about the winter chanterelle is how persistent it is. I've filled my basket with these mushrooms in midwinter at known spots, brushed aside a few centimeters of snow, and there they were, perfectly preserved beneath the cold. Their flavor is delicate, yet rich, almost smoky, and they hold their texture beautifully in the pan. To me, they are the perfect reminder that there's really no such thing as mushroom season. If you are truly dedicated, the season lasts all year. These winter chanterelles are perhaps the mushroom you can forage this time of year. As you may have noticed, this video isn't about what's dead and gone from the woods, but a tribute to what's left. Mushroom season can be extended all the way until next summer if you know what to look for, and I'll be back soon enough with a video showcasing what you might find even in the midst of winter. Yes, there are a lot of decaying mushrooms out here now. Many of the species that favor the summer warmth have succumbed to frost and time, but the forest never really goes silent. And though the diversity isn't what it was just a few weeks ago, that doesn't really matter. A forest walk to me is just as much about the stillness and reflection, and a lack of fungal life can almost feel like fewer distractions, if you choose to see it that way. I also try to find beauty in the rotting and ruined mushrooms. Some make wonderful photo subjects, worn by weather and time and telling stories of their own. Beneath the fallen leaves and clinging to rotting wood, fungal life continues in other forms. Brackets and crust fungi spreading across logs and stumps, tiny cup fungi, even the occasional slime mold. These are forms of life I rarely pay attention to during the height of summer, early autumn, when new and exciting edibles appear around every corner. This part of year may look like an ending, but to me, it isn't. It's a chance to slow down, to notice the textures, the stillness, and the strange beauty that thrives when everything else fades. Many of these small Mycenas, like this one, the Yellowleg Bonnet, they can survive a night or two with frost, and many of them grow in winter as well. Not every mushroom needs to be rare or edible to deserve a closer look. These small Mycenas had simply claimed a fallen twig, nothing remarkable about them, except how they stood out in the fading light. I stopped for a photo, mostly because scenes like this capture the quiet side of the season. There's something about their simplicity, two delicate stems holding on, framed by the stillness. And it doesn't have to be rare to be special, especially now when we are entering a time when the forest offers so little and every small find feels significant. And here it is, maybe this year's last chanterelle. Weathered and torn, but still holding on to that unmistakable golden color. It's far from perfect, yet it kind of feels more honest this way, a reminder of how much these woods have given this season. Here's a mushroom that shows up very late in the season. And this one can even survive a few nights of frost. And this one is called the Goblet. The Goblet, Pseudoclitocybe cyathiformis. That's a name that doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. I had to practice this a few times before recording this. Anyway, it's an elegant mushroom with a dark grey-brown funnel-shaped cap that often develops a lighter, almost translucent edge. The gills are pale grey and slightly forked, running a short distance down the stem, a feature that helps separate it from other funnel-shaped species. The goblet grows on rich soil and leaf litter, often near decaying hardwood or in mixed woodland, appearing from late autumn and sometimes even into early winter, especially during mild spells. It is considered edible, though not a prized one. The flavor is mild and earthy and the stem can be quite tough, so only the caps are worth keeping. But to me, it's one of those finds that reminds you, edibility isn't always about taste. Sometimes it's about the joy of still finding something fresh when you least expect it. I've always found this species a bit mysterious. Its dusky tones blend into the forest floor until the light catches the cap just right. It's a kind of mushroom you overlook easily, yet once you've seen it, you start noticing them everywhere. Here we have a fun little mushroom. This one is called the Earpick fungus. And if we have a look underneath, small spines. This is a small personal favorite of mine, Auriscalpium vulgare. It's easy to miss because it's tiny, dark, and grows directly on fallen pine cones, often half buried under a blanket of pine needles. It has a tough, almost leathery cap with little spines underneath instead of gills, giving it a really unique look for such a small mushroom. It's not edible, but that's not really the point. Finding one always feels like spotting a hidden detail the forest keeps tucked away. Look at this little thing, growing from this twig. It has the shape of a normal mushroom, but look underneath. It has pores. So this is actually a polypore, a type of bracket mushroom with a stem and all. This one is called a winter polypore, and it's a modest mushroom that appears on dead hardwood. It has a pale leathery cap and a layer of pores underneath instead of gills. What I like about this species is that, unlike the classic bracket-shaped polypores most people imagine, this one actually has a stem and a cap, so it still has that familiar mushroom look. It feels almost like a tiny winter mushroom dressed in polypore clothing, which makes it a fun subject for photos. And, like many of the species in this video, it signals that the season is shifting. As winter approaches, most fungi stop fruiting from the soil and begin growing almost exclusively on wood. Fallen branches, buried logs, and old stumps become the new home for cold season species. And that shift is exactly what led me to my final, and by far the best, discovery today. And here it is, the discovery that made the whole trip worthwhile. A beautiful cluster of oyster mushrooms, Pleurotus ostreatus, claiming this fallen tree as their home. And few mushrooms brighten a late season quite like these. With their sweeping shell-like caps and soft grey tones, they almost glow. They are firm, fragrant, and one of the finest edible mushrooms you can find, not just at this time of year, but finest edibles, full stop. Oysters thrive on dead hardwood, often fruiting in large shelves after the first real cold spell. They prefer the chill. In fact, colder temperatures can trigger some of the best flushes. And they are also one of the rare mushrooms that can appear deep into winter if the weather shifts just enough to give the mycelium that initial spark. What a perfect ending for this video, with all these oyster mushrooms here. This was the perfect last harvest, a reminder that even as we move into winter, there's still life, there's still flavor, and there's still so much to discover. Look, they are frozen solid, but that doesn't matter. And this is where I'll end today's walk, with a full basket of oysters and today's dinner secured. It's been a mixed kind of day. A few late edibles and a handful of small surprises, and plenty of those quiet moments you only get this time of year. If you want to see more fungi photos, my Instagram is where a lot of the images from today's forage will be posted, and a bunch of others as well. Link in the description. Thank you for joining me out here at the tail end of the season, and I hope to see you again next time on Fungi of the North.